Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Vedic Living. Today, we'll talk about a few different things because, like I said in my earlier videos, the end of this year going into next year till about the April timeframe is going to be very tough because, especially in terms of the world in general and the countries, there's going to be conflict and a lot of problems with stability during this time frame. I do want to focus especially on the transits of Mars and Neptune. And of course, I'm going to bring in Saturn and Rahu because we can't ignore them. Next year, around that March to May timeframe, there's going to be a major conjunction happening in Pisces. So we'll have to talk about those two planets too, because they do come into the mix. For now, I want to kind of first point you to my video that I did, I think 2 videos before this. The video was titled War on the Horizon, and go to the 25-minute mark in that video. And I talked about how the stationing of Mars is affecting a lot of countries worldwide. And we looked at a few charts at that time, but now we're going to look more deeper into some more. Because I do see that 11-degree mark in Cancer getting triggered a lot. And if you remember, when I made that video, I promised you I'll come back with more research, and that's what I'm doing now. We have about 2 more weeks before this transit hits us, but we will see the rumblings, the precursors to that transit starting about now, because usually these transits they kind of start their effect about 2 weeks before they happen, and the effects go for about 2 weeks after they happen. So I think, we'll start seeing a lot of things now that we predicted in that video, but I wanted to kind of, go back to it because today we again heard about the missile strike on Russia from Ukraine, which I think will kick off a lot of things. So when I heard about that, I thought about that Mars stationing in the first week of December, which was triggering both the charts of Ukraine and Russia. So this is why I wanted to make this video and kind of take you through some more important transits that are happening at that time, including Neptune. Neptune is very important in this mix, okay? So before we go any further, I want to invite you to look at my website, www.vedic-living.com. I do put out a newsletter every month, which is free, which has a lot of information. Hopefully that will help you traverse the month with the energies of the planet being aligned with the energies of the planets. And while you're on my website, check out the other pages and blog and so on. I do have a free chart calculator, which will probably come into handy this video because I'm talking about certain degree marks. So if you want to know if your planets are at those specific degree marks, please do check out the free chart calculator. It'll give you the chart for free, and you can go and check that out. And if you need more information, make an appointment with me, and I would love to help you decipher the transits that are happening in your chart specifically. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead into this video. We have a lot to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is this unrest. Now, in the United States, as you know, we talked about this in my December predictions video that I put down last week, that after the elections, of course, there's been a landslide win and all that, but things are not going to be as easy as people may, because with this election, outcome, there is going to be a lot of unrest that'll happen between the months of December and especially ending January 20th, which is so amazing because that's around the time of the inauguration. That's the exact time when Mars is going back into Gemini from Cancer. Mars in Cancer is what's causing so much unrest and frustration and anger. So when it goes back into Gemini, things do get a little better. But this time frame between now and January 20th is still filled with a lot of unrest. The peak of this unrest is going to be the first couple of weeks of December. The reason for that is because that is when Mars is stationed, exactly at 11 degrees of Cancer. And it will be stationed for a couple of days, December 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then it's going to go backwards, which means it's retracing its steps. And when a planet retraces its steps, be it in your personal chart or in the world chart, remember that it is always revisiting issues of the past. So anything that has been left unfinished, be it the Israel-Palestine conflict, be it Iran coming into the mix, be it Russia, Ukraine, be it China, anything that has been left unfinished will be revisited when the planet goes retrograde. That's just the nature of it. That's always how it's going to happen. In your life, in your personal life, when a planet goes retrograde in a certain house in your chart and goes over a certain planet in your chart, it is always revisiting, reviewing, reassessing the issues that have to do with that house and that planet, because it wants you to complete it. It wants you to find closure. And that's why this revisiting happens. Okay. So when Mars starts going retrograde, December 7th, 8th, and 9th, it's stationed, standing still, then it goes retrograde. When it goes retrograde, it's going to start going back into Gemini. And January 20th, it will reach the border of Cancer and Gemini. And that's where the energy starts shifting. And Mars going from Cancer to Gemini, the energy will probably shift for the better because Mars is not good in Cancer. But when it goes into Gemini, again, it'll keep moving backwards. And in Gemini, it's going to station at 22 degrees around the last week of February 2025. So remember, this backwards retrograde motion is between December 7th and end of February 2025. This time frame is the time of a lot of anger, war, conflict, violence, frustration. Okay. Now, on the positive side, Mars also rules things that have to do with ambition and physical ability, wanting to get things done, your willpower, things like that. So in personal lives, you may see that you're more resolved to get things done. But in the world charts, when this happens, it always means that something that was unresolved in the past is being revisited again, which usually intends conflict. Okay. So this is a time when there'll be a lot of unrest, and we are already kind of seeing the rumblings starting now, but it will come to a peak in the first 2 weeks of December, especially when Mars stations December 7th to December 9th. And then it's gonna start going into January 20th, things will get a little better. February, end of February, Mars will go direct again, and then it'll go forward full speed. So hopefully things are better after that. Now, there is another issue here, and that's what I made this video. Now, there is another little element we need to consider here, which is Neptune. Neptune is the planet in the sky that rules things that have to do with unclear, foggy sight. Because Neptune, the planet itself, it has a very thick cover surrounding it, so you can't see through very clearly. That's the whole symbology of Neptune in your chart. Wherever Neptune is in your chart, that's where things are unclear for you. That's where there could be deceptions and deceit and problems with betrayal. Because when you're not seeing clearly as to the intent of a person, there can be betrayal. And that's what Neptune rules. It rules deception. It rules anything that has to do with past deceptions or things that could come out right now. And another thing that Neptune rules, it does rule spirituality, mysticism. People who have Neptune on their ascendant or their moon, they're very spiritual. They're very, they have this aura of mysticism around them. And they could be very psychic and intuitive. So I'm not discounting that. That's also true. Now, Neptune also rules drugs, because drugs can give you the feeling of being foggy sometimes in your mind. You're not able to think or see clearly. And with all that being said, the reason I'm talking about Neptune right now is because Neptune on December 7th, exactly that day when Mars is stationed, is going direct. This is important because not only is Mars stationed in Cancer, Neptune is stationed in Pisces, ready to go direct. Neptune has been retrograde for about 4 to 5 months now. So it's been going backwards, which means during this time, it's been reviewing past deception and things that have happened in the past. Now it's going direct where it's ready to expose this. So between the first week of December and the next couple of months or so, because that's when Neptune picks up speed, make sure you look out for things being revealed to you. It could be through the media. Neptune does rule TV, media, news. It rules anything that has to do with photography and movies. So yes, I do think there's going to be some great movies coming out in the next 6-month period because Neptune is going direct. But it will expose deception, things that you thought were a certain way and you were really, really sure they were a certain way. That can change now because Neptune is the single planet that can make you feel like, I can't believe I thought that. You know, it deals with putting people up on a pedestal and realizing that they shouldn't be there. It's imagine you being inside a fog and you can't see anything clearly. And then when Neptune goes direct, the fog clears and you're like shocked. You're like, what is happening here? How did this happen? That's the feeling Neptune gives you. It's this awareness that can be sudden, that can be shocking sometimes, although Uranus is more the shocking planet, but still, Neptune can also kind of give you that. You can be taken aback by what it's revealing, but it does reveal things that were deceiving from the past. Anything that you thought you believed firmly in, it could be challenged at this time. So there is going to be a lot of things revealed in the coming 2 months, but I find it interesting, especially that Neptune is stationed on the day that Mars is also going, about to go retrograde. So that first week of December is incredibly active in the skies. It's going to be very, very active. There's going to be, at a mass level in the world, there's going to be a lot of things revealed which we never thought was true. I remember a long time ago when Neptune was either, I don't remember if it was stationed to go direct or retrograde. That's when WikiLeaks happened. Things like that, where you thought things were a certain way, that thought process changes. So that has to be remembered. Another thing is Neptune is very, very strong at times of attacks on people who are in prominent positions because that is deception. There's a lot of planning that happens behind the scenes. People might be planning it right now as Neptune is about to go direct. So it does come into play in terms of poisoning, or because that's, again, Neptune is about, not only poisoning your mind, but also poisoning your body. It has to do with attacks on people, things like that. So it is very important to watch this planet because it is actually one of the most important planets which is overlooked. Now, that degree mark that Neptune is stationing at is very important. Neptune will station at 2 degrees 55 minutes, so about 3 degrees of Pisces. And if you have planets at the degree mark of 2 to 3 degrees of Pisces or Virgo, then this will affect you personally as well, where you are going to start seeing the reality of something that you believed firmly before this, but it'll kind of shatter that belief. It's going to bring to light, it's going to bring to focus certain deception that has happened in your past, depending on where the planet is placed in your chart, but it will bring out certain things that you believed, firmly, and it's going to show that there is something that's going on there that you were not seeing clearly. Neptune brings a lot of confusion sometimes because when it goes direct, it reveals to you what could have been a confusion in the past. So sometimes when it comes in the 6th house, it's something to do with health. If it comes in the 7th house, it's something to do with your partner, your relationship partner, or things like that. So always remember, wherever Neptune is stationed to go direct or stationed to go retrograde, if that degree mark is triggered in your chart, you may have those same revelations that we are looking at in the world today. Now, the 3-degree mark, the 2-degree 55-minute mark, in a lot of people's charts, you will see this triggered. Now, typically we look at where Neptune is, which is conjunction in Pisces, and opposition, which is Virgo. So we look at those 2 points. But sometimes the trines can also be triggered. So for example, in Donald Trump's chart, the trine of Neptune being stationed is triggering Venus, which is the ruler of his 10th house of career and leadership. So there's going to be some things happening with him in the month of December that could bring out deception in the past, or that he has been deceived, or somebody's working against him, or whatever. I mean, he has deceived somebody, whatever that direction of deception may be, there is going to be things being revealed at that time. Another person I've seen whose chart is particularly triggered by this stationing of Neptune is Diddy, Sean Combs. Because if you look at his chart, he has Pluto at 3 degrees of Virgo. It's exact opposing the station Neptune, which means this is the reason why there's so much scandal and problems with deception, things being uncovered, lies being brought out, things like that happening in his life. And this is going to actually give us a lot of, there's going to be a lot of things uncovered about this in that first week of December when Neptune is stationed. Right now, it's retrograde, kind of looking at that degree mark and going towards it, which is important because in Vedic astrology, when a planet goes backwards or forwards, it's important what it's looking at. Where is its drishti? So with it being retrograde, Neptune being retrograde right now, it's going backwards, looking at that 3-degree mark, Pisces and Virgo. So that means it's kind of building its pace towards it and looking at that degree mark. So whatever is happening now is building up to the event that's going to happen in the first 2 weeks of December when Neptune is stationed. So his chart is also triggered by that. And that's the same thing for all of these other country charts that I talked about. And same thing with, if I look at Kamala Harris's chart, it is trining her destiny indicator, her destiny point. So once again, we'll see that. Although the trine of Neptune or the outer planets is not really looked at, it's usually the conjunction and the opposition, but I do think the trine works as per Nadi astrology. But for your case, if you want to look at your chart and use the free chart calculator on my website, then if your birthday is between the 15th of March till the 22nd of March, that's when your sun would have been at that almost around that degree mark where Neptune is stationing in Pisces. And if your birthday is between about September 18th till the 26th of September, that's when your sun would have been at the same degree mark in Virgo. So if you have birthdays between those dates, then because your sun is there, it's triggered by the stationing Neptune. That means that you should watch for these energies in your life. If there's any deception happening, if there's something that's not clear to you, if things are being revealed to you, because even though when things are revealed, it may seem like it's unpleasant, trust me, healing happens when things are clear, right? When things are hidden from you, you're living in oblivion, right? You're not really seeing the reality. You're just living like blind to everything happening around you. But when things are revealed, that's true healing because now you know the reality and now you can take action and move forward. So this is why these two degree marks, when your sun is there, and now I'm only talking about the sun, you may have other planets there based on your chart. So you have to look at that. But I'm just talking about the sun because it's easy to pinpoint where sun is based on a person's birthday. So if you're born between the dates that I gave you, then we know for a fact that your sun is triggered by the stationing Neptune. So just remember that. Now, with that being said, Neptune is going to continue to move forward because it's stationing to go direct right now. December 7th, it'll station. It'll go direct. And while it stations in the first week of December, Mars is also stationed to go retrograde. So whatever Neptune is revealing, the deception, It's bringing anger and frustration in the people. That's how you read this, right? Because both the planets are doing something. You have to bring the meaning together. Another way of reading this also is Neptune being stationed could mean that there is major advancement in medicine and the drug industry, or something about the drug industry that was deceiving is being revealed. And the Mars going backwards could mean that people are upset about that, right? And if there is a major advancement, I don't think it'll be an advancement though, because Mars is going retrograde. Maybe when Mars goes direct in March timeframe, there could be a medical advancement. But with Mars going retrograde, I don't believe this is going to be advancement in medicine. Although I do think that there could be work that's being published that could promise a huge advancement in medicine in the future. Although I don't think it's going to happen now. But you may see some things come out during this time that could promise us some major advancements in future. Okay. So that being said, with Neptune making these movements, especially it being stationed, it's going to start going direct, right? Slowly it will start picking up speed. What it will do is around March 29th of 2025, Saturn is going to go into Pisces. And as it goes into Pisces, remember Rahu is already in Pisces and it's coming backwards. The nodes always move backwards. So between the end of March 2025 and the end of April, going into May 2025, you're going to see a lot of activity in the world in the Pisces sign, because there's going to be Saturn, Rahu, Neptune conjunct. And then we'll also have other planets joining them there. I think there's about 5 or 6 planets at the same time in Pisces. So if you have planets in Pisces, this is major for you. March, April, May of 2025 is going to be a lot of energy going on in your life, depending on what house Pisces is. This is also important because Neptune rules deception. Rahu comes in contact with it at that time, so it magnifies it, blows it out of proportion. And Saturn comes in, what is Saturn? It is karma. It brings discipline. It brings restriction. So whatever is being revealed, that Saturn is making it a very karmic kind of time frame, because it's almost like there's retribution, right? So this conjunction is very important between March and April. So even though, with Mars going retrograde and going into Gemini, January 20th, things start getting better. I do think whatever Mars is kicking off now in the world, with Neptune in the toe, right, both of them together in December, it is going to kind of last till that March, April timeframe before we find resolution to it. So if you see conflicts and wars at this time, which already we are starting to see something starting up, and especially in December, it's got to be in its peak, then around the March, April time next year is where we will see the resolution to these conflicts. Because remember, things have to go up to a peak and resolve, kind of, have this major blast before it can come to a calm state. When these planets are doing these major transits, it's important to watch them, because this means that there's going to be major upheaval between December, January, and February, because in February, Mars will station again at 22 degrees, come back down. Now, I have to say something about this major conjunction stellium of planets happening in Pisces in April 2025. Yes, some of them are tough planets, right? We have Neptune, we have Rahu, we have Saturn, we have Sun, all of these planets. But Venus is there too, and Venus is exalted. And the thing with Venus in April of 2025, when it's in Pisces with all these planets, it's anchored by Jupiter in Taurus, which it's a Parivartana yoga. Venus is in Jupiter's sign Sagittarius. Venus is in Jupiter's sign Pisces, and Jupiter is in Venus's sign Taurus. So this is a Parivartana yoga. So because of that, I do think whatever is happening in April is a healing to everything that's going on now. So if we can get through the first week of December to the end of Feb timeframe, and then a little bit of issues in the month of March, kind of that dying down reaction. The month of April could be a healing, because with all these planets coming together, even though it's exposing a lot of stuff that has happened in the past, deception, maybe things that have been done by previous governments and such, it is still bringing a lot of healing, because these two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, are in a parivartana mutual kind of yoga, which means that they're anchoring each other, which means they are bringing healing. So April is actually a good month because of that. So I'm not really concerned about that being a difficult month. My major concern is December, first week of December till the end of Feb, this 3-month period. And especially things probably getting a little better around January 20th with Mars moving backwards into Gemini, but still, because Mars is not stationed yet till the end of Feb, it's still tough. It's still going backwards. Now this, as I've said in my previous video, will affect Russia. We have seen the degrees in Russia getting affected. Ukraine, it's affecting Israel. It's affecting Palestine and Iran, China, India. India has almost 4 planets, I think, in Cancer. And also the rulers, like Iran's rulers chart is affected, Ali Khamenei. Then we have Xi Jinping's chart that is affected. Then we have, Trump, of course, has 2 planets there in Cancer. So we do have a lot of ruler charts getting affected by this transit and countries. So this is a reason why I wanted to make this video, because further research showed me that Neptune is also stationed at that time, which I don't think I talked about last time when we talked on this video. So this is an important time. So when you think about the coming events, especially now, things will start beginning, because it's not going to be like on December 7th, something major happens. Things are starting now. It's building up to a peak in December, and then it's coming back down after Jan 20th through the end of Feb. Okay. Now, like I said, in your personal charts, those trigger points are going to be 3 degrees of Pisces, 3 degrees of Virgo, and 11 degrees of Cancer, and 22 degrees of Gemini. Those are the points you need to watch for these transits. Okay. Now, another thing that's happening during this whole deal is Jupiter will start going direct in the first week of Feb. This is important. This tells us that whatever is happening in Feb, from the beginning of Feb till the end of Feb, is bringing a closure to whatever is starting now. Because right now, Jupiter is retrograde. So when Jupiter goes direct, it's going to bring a closure. Now, if you want to look for the degree that Jupiter is stationed in Taurus, because that is also a sensitive degree, it is 17 degrees of Taurus. So 17 degrees Taurus, 17 degrees Scorpio. Okay, so that's again another degree to watch for. So you notice how in this 3-month period, so many planets are, either stationed or going direct, going retrograde. There is a lot of activity, right? When planets are stationed, that is actually the most important kind of message that it's giving us, to pay attention to it. But it is kind of rare to have so many planets stationed and going direct or retrograde within a span of 3 months. Because remember, I also told you that Mercury is also going to be stationed in the end of November. It's again another major stationing that's happening in the next coming 2 weeks. So with all of this happening, this is definitely a very active time. And especially for the countries that I just named, they have to be careful, because that means there's conflict, there's war going on there. Why am I talking about that? Because it's Mars. That's what Mars rules. Because it's Neptune. Neptune rules deception and betrayal. Things are not clear, right? And then when Jupiter goes direct in Feb, things will come down to closure. So that's a time frame I kind of wanted to talk to you again about, because we are starting to see more and more things happening. So with that being said, I'm going to close this video, and I'll come back to you next time with a video on the 2025 predictions. I plan to have a full recording of the 2025 predictions for sale on my website. But for those of you who don't want to buy that, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'll give you some major predictions on YouTube, and I'll also do the 12 sign predictions. But if you want major detailed, more descriptive, lot of information kind of predictions, then watch my website and buy my recording. And that way you can have everything for the coming year in much detail. So I hope you do that. I'll tell you when that recording goes up for sale. Once again, make sure you go to my website and sign for the free newsletter. It will give you information about when things are going up for sale on my website, especially the 2025 predictions you don't want to miss. If you're new here, I hope you subscribe and like my videos, and I hope you join our family. Thank you so much.